This keyboard is the best budget mechanical keyboard of 2024. That's it. That's the review. Thanks for watching. Okay, you are still here? Here is my in-depth review of the most affordable aluminum keyboard on the market. This keyboard has disrupted the budget mechanical keyboard segment forever. Remember when I've said good keyboards are getting cheap and cheap keyboards are getting better? This is the peak of it. This keyboard is made out of CNC Aluminum, has gasket mounting, a full hot swap PCB with south-facing RGB LED, comes with double-chip PVD keycaps, has great switches, decent software, a rotary knob, and great acoustics. And what if I told you that you can get this complete package for just $45?
Are you sure about that?
Yup, that's what came to my mind when I got to see the price of this keyboard. Today, I'm reviewing the new Monka A75, and this is the best budget mechanical keyboard to be released in 2024, period. The specs are too good to be true, and I will be dissecting the keyboard hard this time. What are the caveats of this keyboard? How does it stack up in comparison to the other aluminum keyboards? Find out in today's video. Thanks to Blissstyle Electronics for sending out the board to try. Check the link in the description for more. The Monka A75 comes in two variants, wired and wireless. The wired-only variant price starts from BDT 5500 or around $45, and the wireless variant, which is the one with the tri-mode, starts from BDT 6800 or $56. Monka A75 comes in a few colorways, so the one I have here is the black case with a powder-coated CNC aluminum, and there are other options including a white case with an e-coating CNC aluminum case. The case is rounded and the Monka logo is engraved at the back. At the top right there is this rotary knob made out of CNC aluminum as well. Basically, I like this iteration of 75% keyboard as it's not exploded and has one extra key beside the knob. The knob at the top right can be used for media control. And this case is matched by this great quality cherry profile double-chip PVD keycaps. They look great and have decent legend, good textures and okay thickness. The board weighs around 1.4 kg. The board feels pretty hefty, but the glittered powder-coated CNC aluminum could be off-putting for some. The board uses a polycarbonate plate to ensure a soft tapping feel and deep sound in tandem with the gasket mounting style. So let's talk about how this mounting style impacts the sound and overall daily driving experiences. The board is PCB gasket mounted with pour-on foams attached into the bottom case, and they are mounted through the PCB extensions. Pour-on gasket mount is, in my opinion, one of the best iteration of gasket mounting as it gives one of the most uniform and soft feel while typing. Although it's quite rare to see it these days, I was surprised to see it here. In addition to a softer feel, it helps in producing a deep sound. So it's a win, I guess. And the PCB is as usual 1.2mm 5-pin hot swap with south-facing RGB LED and flex cut. The hot swap sockets are unknown branded Kale or Gator clones. So I wasn't surprised to see this as it's quite standard these days, and this sort of hot swap sockets I've also seen in previous budget boards and they have been going on fine. So I'm not too worked up about it. The RGB LED supports the full spectrum and can be changed or programmed using the onboard key combo or the software. Although the software doesn't look that interesting, it can do a lot of work, including mapping the secondary layer like VIA, setting up macro, controlling RGB and so on. The PCB support tri-mode connectivity including Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz dongle along with wired one. Beside the connectivity switcher mode, there is an enclosure to store the dongle. And as for the polling rate, it's 1000Hz in wired and 2.4 GHz mode like all the boards these days, and 125Hz in Bluetooth mode. Also, the board comes in with NKRO. For the latency, it's better to check the video of a fellow creator Technology who did a latency test. But as per my daily usage, I didn't see any delayed response or lag in both wired and wireless mode. The battery inside is 4000 mAh, and depending upon in which mode you're using, RGB brightness and whatnot, the battery life would vary. But I would say it's possible to get more than 2 weeks if you are using it in Bluetooth mode with no RGB. You would have thought that they would cheap out on switches for a keyboard that is this affordable. They went for some decent switches options with Leopard and Tactile Sea Salt V2. So let me explain the switches. The Snow Leopard is a 5-pin linear switch that is made of POM top cover, PA66 bottom cover, and stem made out of UP. The actuation is at 1.6mm with 43 grams of force, and the bottom out distance is at 3.3mm with a force of around 52 grams. The spring is at 20mm length, and they come in factory lubed. So how does it feel overall? Due to the switches being factory lubed and the UP stem, they feel quite smoother than a POM stem switch. And they sound quite poppy as well. As for the usage feel, I think it is somewhere between light and heavy. So yeah, I think they would be suitable for day-to-day tasks and gaming as well. Now about the Monka Sea Salt Tactile V2. If you have been following me for quite some time, you do know that I love the Sea Salt Tactile. This is a 5-pin tactile switches that is top POM cover, bottom PA66 case, POM stem with a 21mm long spring. The actuation distance is at 2.3mm with 45 grams of force, and the bottom of force is 60 grams. So how does the specs translate into? Tactility starts right from the top and it's not heavy. The spring allows for a quicker actuation but then slowly bottoms out at 3.3mm distance. So if you are someone who is a fast typist, this is a great switch for you, as the average bottom out distance and the force with mid tactility, snappy rebound kinda lets you allow to be on flow while typing. Feel-wise, they are great. They are quite smooth and no spring ping or whatsoever that are sometimes seen on tactile switches. In this config, sounds really nice with a satisfying bottom out. Considering it's not that heavy and has medium level tactility, it's quite suitable for gaming as well. In order to achieve a great sound, it comes in with loads of dampening materials and tune stabilizers. So let's hear how the board sounds with various switches. I must say, the board sounds really good no matter what switches you put into it. It's obvious, the mounting style, the plate, the dampening materials and the switches altogether resulted in this deep, talky sounding keyboard. The typing experience was soft and cushioned. I didn't find any issue with the stabs rattling or case ping. Plus, the case materials didn't seem like hollow or something, and the bottom chassis is a flattened one to reflect the soundback properly, giving a uniform sound in combination with the mounting style. Safer to say, it's pretty usable in stock configuration without any mods or tuning. So for the newbies who are wondering, well, do I need to mod my keyboard? Here is your answer. Daily driving this keyboard has been super fun, be it at workplace, be it at home. The switches also complemented that. Being compact means this fits really well with various setups. The keycaps, boards and the colorways should go nice with any sort of desk setup. Now, let me show you how to open the board and suggest you some mods if you are really into it. The board is quite easy to open. There are 6 screws. Open them and the top frame will be detached from the bottom one. Once inside, you can see the board has the dampening materials, USB-C module and the battery. So for the mods, the only thing I could do is the tape mod to cover the PCB flex cut. You can also get rid of the PET film under the XP sheet. And also you can try adding some polyfills inside of the case. But keep in mind that there aren't that much space on the inside of the case. So let's hear some more sound test. In the beginning, I was saying that this board should have some caveats to make it the cheapest aluminum keyboard out there. Well, I'm quite happy to see that I'm yet to find anything. It's one of the cheapest aluminum keyboard out there, so you can't expect having the finishing of a flagship tier boards. I guess it's quite okay for the price. Yes, the software could have been a VIA or web app so that other platform users can use it and program the PCB. It's a con for many users, sure, but I guess for the price we can kind of overlook this. If you are someone who will need to use it on other platforms and change key config, you should definitely look into keyboards that has VIA or web app. Then I also thought there would be issue with latency, but there weren't. I thought the hot swap sockets are going to be as bad as the first generation of the boards. They weren't. I thought they would downgrade on the keycaps. They didn't. I thought the switches would be bad, and I'm glad that they are not. So the only thing I'll need to look forward is to how it performs in the long run. I'll keep an eye on it. I hope it does perform well in the long run. It needs to. Imagine getting an aluminum keyboard for the price of plastic keyboards. Speaking of plastic keyboards, I think it performed really well versus similarly priced options like Asus AK820 Max, Jinmeng M75 Pro, Ola F75 Pro, Monka A75, etc. But hey, if you need something with a display and wireless connectivity and you are quite tight on the budget, you can consider those, as at that price the wired variant of Monka A75 is available, not the tri-mode one. But hey, if you have money to spare, go for the tri-mode one. The A75 pulls ahead versus these keyboards, not only in terms of feel and weight, but also the potential of the sound it can produce versus the plastic-made boards. So I would prefer the aluminum boards over the plastic ones at similar prices if I'm being honest. So in the realm of pre-built aluminum keyboards, the cheapest option used to be the Leobog i75. And I believe this is way better than that. Because it has a better case finishing, it now has an actual rotary knob, and it now has a tri-mode connectivity option for the same price, unlike the Leobog i75. So I guess time has come for you to forget about this and go for this one. If you want something with the knob only, the next best option is going to be the new Mozgeek M1 V5 that comes with a ball catch mechanism and VIA, Ola Fire 75, Leobog Hi8 AC, Vision VXC75 V2. If you disregard the knob, there is Chilke ND75, Warmere SK75, PMOF 75, Bridge 75 that are still decent pre-built options under $100. So watch my video on ND75 to find out more. In short, if you want the solid pre-built aluminum keyboard under $60, this is it. With that, I'm wrapping up for today. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye and have a great day.